So I wanted to see if being a wrestling fan has ever ruined anybody's life, and there's only one place to go for this, and that's Reddit. So let's get started with. Oh, geez. We're starting with a doozy. Am I the a hole for saying people who think WWE is real are dummies? This is only the first story. I was with my friends and we were having a discussion at school a few days ago, and we were joking about how dumb some people are. And we mentioned how a lot of people think WWE is real. I said anyone older than 10 who thinks WWE is real is dumb. A teacher walked by and said WWE is a real sport. There's nothing fake about it. And we laughed, thinking this teacher was joking. I don't know this teacher personally, so I don't know much about their personality. But we assumed it was sarcasm. He said, "Do you really think this is funny?" And that's when we realized he was serious. We explained that it's fake. It's scripted like a TV show, and they're basically actors. He kept disagreeing with me and saying that I was extremely rude for calling people stupid for thinking it's real. My friend then pulled up Dolphin's 1925 post history. He or she, like 8 years ago, had a friend who worked for WWE who leaked out all the info for upcoming games. So Dolphins 1925, with 100%, predicted the winners of 36 different matches and tournaments, which is basically impossible unless it was scripted. It wasn't just predicting one-on-one matches, but he predicted all the winners of the tournaments, in which there'd be like 10 competitors. So it's like predicting the winner of every single football match in the World Cup. I showed him that, and he walked away looking quite angry. I later overheard that he was a massive WWE fan and was disappointed we ruined it for him. The next day I saw him take down a poster of some WWE people and throw it in the garbage. A different teacher talked to me privately and said we really hurt him and we were really rude for how we handled it. I explained that it was a private conversation he butted into, and for him to believe WWE is a real sport at that age is like believing in Santa or the Easter Bunny. So, firstly, I don't like the word fake because it's belittling WWE. It's making it seem like it's no big deal, like it's just a walk in the park every day. Or, like this person said, it's making it feel like it's the Easter Bunny or Santa, something that's make believe, whereas every single person who works inside WWE, whether you're a superstar or a referee or, I don't know, security, they all genuinely train just like athletes train. They eat just like athletes eat. And what they do can genuinely be dangerous. Every single injury is still real. No matter how minor or big, it's genuinely real. And even if sometimes they use something else to cover it up, it's often because the superstar has to nurse a different injury, or they just need to go and take some time off to let their body heal. So all of that aspect is real. And yes, the stories are pre-written, the matches are predetermined, but that doesn't necessarily make it fake. That's just my take on it, is that it's predetermined and that's the right word to use, but it's not fake. Because like I said, injuries that happen are often still real, and they still need to train and eat just like athletes. Now, into the actual story. So this OP went and they ruined something for someone that was bringing them enjoyment and bringing them happiness. I think that they handled the situation very badly, because once they saw that the teacher was serious about the situation, they could have just laughed it off and said, "Yeah, we agree with you," and let the teacher walk away, then carry on with your conversation. You didn't have to go and actively prove that it's fake just for the sake of making a point. I think that they just handled the situation really, really, really badly. Whereas they could have just let the teacher go on with their day and be happy with being a WWE fan or being a wrestling fan. You didn't have to go out of your way to prove that it's fake. I don't care how old someone is. If something genuinely brings them joy and happiness, I'm just gonna bring in a Marie Kondo quote here. If it sparks joy, let them enjoy it. But yeah, they actively went out of their way to prove that this is fake to someone who just was enjoying life and enjoying WWE. Whereas you could have just gone on along with it once you realized he was serious and been like, yeah, it's just a TV show. You didn't have to say, we agree with you, we think it's real. There were so many ways out of that conversation, but you went for the most catatonic one, which was proving that it's fake. So I just, I don't, I don't see the need for that. It's so unnecessary and it actually hurts someone. On the other hand, I do understand that this person is a grown adult, so you do want to kind of bring him back into the real world. But to be honest, was that necessary? Again, was it hurting anyone that he likes WWE? No, no, it doesn't. So Reddit's determined that everyone sucks in this post. I do understand that yes, he's a grown adult and maybe he shouldn't be believing that these certain things are real. But again, who was it hurting that he believed that it was real? Okay, so I'm just going to read one or two comments here. Scripted doesn't mean fake in sports. WWE, the physical sports side of it, is real. The stunts they do are real and they're performing physical acts. It's no different than doing forms of martial arts. Hell, we even do them for audiences sometimes. Kids need to learn the difference between fake and scripted. The competition is fake, the acts are not. They're really performing dangerous stunts. Just someone is paid to lose. Someone else commented, while it is 100% scripted, those guys do put themselves through a ton, not to mention the insane schedule. It isn't real, but they are still some of the hardest working athletes out there. Kayfabe has been dead since the late 90s, though. There is no way you could be a fan older than 10 years and not somehow have realized this by now. Someone also said, you saw your teacher take down a WWE poster at school. I'm sorry, but what kind of school is this where you can just have Stone Cold Steve Austin staring down at you from a wall while you do a geometry test? Okay, so this story comes from our relationship advice. My boyfriend, 34-year-old male, only likes to watch wrestling with me, 37-year-old female, and nothing else. I am currently in a long-distance relationship with my boyfriend. We have been seeing each other for about 1 year, 4 months. He is 34-year-old male living in Massachusetts, and I am a 37-year-old female living in South Dakota. I am moving in with him in 2 months, hopefully. Anyway, he is a great guy. He is supportive, talkative, and will converse with me, etc. But he only shows real interest in conversation if it's WWE wrestling. We also watch wrestling daily together for maybe an hour per day. We never really watch what I want to or really do anything I like. If I try to have us do something, it will be with limited enthusiasm. I am concerned once I move in with him that this is what it will be like. He has his video games as well, which he requires time for, which is totally fine with me. It's just I wish we had more shared interests. I know many people will probably say, oh well, compromise, but I've tried that. Again, great guy, I love wrestling too, just not as much as he does. I have also talked about other hobbies we could maybe try together once I move in, but he says no, I don't like fishing, boating, biking, or anything really. I love him, just a little frustrated about and worried about this. Thanks for any advice. Now, I get that she really loves this guy. I mean, she says that he has a ton of great qualities, just that he loves wrestling too much. I get it, okay? As a wrestling fan, like I constantly am immersing myself in a ton of wrestling. I like to do other things as well, okay? Clearly, OP is hoping for more in the relationship because she says the only thing that he wants to do with her is watch wrestling. And in my opinion, as hard as it may be, it feels like it's a disaster because it feels like the boyfriend doesn't want to compromise in the relationship and she's doing all the compromising, which is really unhealthy. If they can't have a serious discussion and just sit and talk about this and say, I want to do other things with you aside from watching wrestling, it clearly feels like from the suggestion she made that she's more of an outdoors person. Personally, I think that they should actually just sit down, have a discussion, and she needs to voice her opinions. Because once they move in, he's possibly going to be watching wrestling 24/7. I mean, they're in a long distance relationship now. So once they're actually together, an hour a day of wrestling might be fine with her. But if it's 5 hours, 12 hours, 7 hours a week, because that's how many shows there are excluding PLEs, it might end up being way too much for her. It also sounds like she's more of an outdoors person. I mean, she suggested things like boating and fishing and biking, so it's not very compatible in terms of hobbies because he has video games and WWE and she wants to do all of these other adventurous things. So unless she sits down with him and she says, look, I need you to also compromise right now, then it might not be a relationship that's going to work, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that they had the sit down talk and they actually just came up with a compromise. Otherwise, I think that she maybe needs to move to Massachusetts and but into her own space. So if she can afford it, maybe she should get her own apartment or something and hopefully have her own space, because if she's with him 24/7 and all he's doing is playing video games and watching wrestling, it's going to drive her crazy. So, at least if she does choose to break up with him, she can immediately leave to her apartment as opposed to relying on staying with him until she can move out. Ugh, this is a very sticky situation. So, some comments. So, someone commented and they said, well, this doesn't look like it has disaster written all over it. Assuming you have never met in person, people don't always click from online to offline. And then you are taking it to 100% by moving in with him. You are going from spending 1 hour with him to spending 24 hours with him. If you think 1 hour of wrestling is truly tough, wait till you have to encounter it constantly as it is the only thing he is interested in doing with you. So OP said, yes, I completely agree. He's so into wrestling, lol. Someone went full force here and they said, what do you have in common? Does he really have interests aside from wrestling and video games? Also, not to judge a 34-year-old, but if the answer is no, then it sounds like you're dating a teenager. So OP replied and they said, we actually met in a philosophy group online. There was a shared interest until we stopped talking about it. I love discussing philosophy, but he doesn't seem to be interested in it anymore to talk about it. Oh, this is such a Reddit answer. Okay. Have you wrestled him yet? If not, I suggest doing that before you move in. Oh, jeez. That is such a Reddit answer. Have you clearly told him you want to watch something else or just hinted? Some people need to clearly stated to understand. That's why I said she needs to have a conversation with him, sit down with him and say, look, this is what's going on. Can we please watch, I don't know, Chicago Mid or something instead of sitting and watching wrestling, you know? And if he's not willing to compromise, at least you haven't moved to a completely different state for this person yet. Moving on. This one doesn't seem too hectic, thankfully. Am I the a-hole for buying tickets to WWE for my little brother's birthday? Nice and short as well. Here's the scoop. Me and my little brother grew up watching WWE. I'm still a huge fan, and he comes over to watch PLEs with me. I bought 4 tickets for Monday Night Raw 3 days after his birthday for me, him, his friend, and my oldest brother. My oldest brother says it's wrong because I enjoy watching wrestling more than he does, and I'm the one who's going to enjoy the tickets the most. I asked my little brother and he seems super excited. My older brother's girlfriend is also a big wrestling fan, and I didn't get her a ticket because, well, it was for my little brother's birthday and not hers. Am I the a-hole here? You see, it's very hard to take the older brother's side here because it feels like it's something that they all enjoyed as kids together. So there's the nostalgia factor. We're doing something together that we did as kids. There's also the idea that the little brother as well as the OP like watching wrestling together. So I don't understand why that's such a big deal. And also, it kind of feels like maybe the older brother's just a little bit upset that his girlfriend can't come with them, even though she's a massive fan. It's a WWE live event, so it's actually a really exciting atmosphere, even if you're not like 100% the biggest fan ever. Just being in that crowd is such a vibe, to be honest. I don't know, maybe he's just a little jealous that his girlfriend can't come to the show as well, and especially because she is a fan. Or maybe he just doesn't want to go because it doesn't sound like he is actually a big fan. So it kind of sounds like the older brother is just being a problem in the situation. I don't think OP is actually the a-hole in the situation. Okay, let's see. Some comments. Not the a-hole, just because you enjoy something more doesn't mean you didn't have good intentions with this gift. You stated that WWE is something you have enjoyed with your little brother, so it seems like there's a bond over this event, and this is a well thought out gift. If your older brother doesn't like it, maybe your little brother can invite another friend. Yes, I agree. We're gonna move on. Okay, so I, 27-year-old female, am concerned that my boyfriend, 27-year-old male, has an unrealistic career goal. Do I dump him? She's going straight into do I dump him? Not even like, can I have some advice here, please? Because it is under relationship advice. I started seeing my boyfriend very recently. He's really kind and caring, and we seem to get along well. But he has a lot of problems when it comes to his career. He's getting a master's degree. He's getting a master's in counseling, so there's that. But he views that as a failsafe. He wants to become a pro wrestler. From what I know, he's never won a fight. From what he's told me, he's only ever got in one fight in college. The guy broke his collarbone. He's very tall and very, very skinny. His body does not hold on to muscle. He's also one of the most agreeable men I've ever met. He's not a fighter. He says he loves the storytelling aspect of wrestling, but that's such a small part. It makes no sense to me. Also, my most important goal is to have a stable family and life. Do I take this as the ultimate red flag? I'm worried that if he can't see that this is unrealistic, it's going to be harder to deal with later on. I had a hard childhood. It's hard for me to relate to what I see as someone essentially snubbing the option of a stable family for a pipe dream to me. To me, having a stable family is the dream. I guess my concern is that down the line, there can be a number of reasons to shun a family and responsibility. I'm worried that this might be the beginning of a larger issue and it won't go away. To me, it's concerning that he doesn't seem to be able to process that what he wants to do is a mismatch not only to his talents, but to his personality and everything. He has told me he's bipolar. Does this mean I'm not just cut out to handle a relationship with someone like this? I actually don't want to break up with him. I really don't want to cut ties with him. It's hard enough to find decent people. I get that it's damn near impossible to find decent people who also want to just have a normal family and life and don't shun that for a shot at fame. Even beyond that, he's just a very great, supportive, and nice person. What do I do? So, the summary at the bottom: my boyfriend wants to become a pro wrestler despite never having won a fight. All I want is a stable career and family. Do I break up with him? That is a very hard situation because it sounds like she cares for this guy. But for me, I think she's overlooking the fact that he does also have a mental illness. Okay, bipolar is very, very, very serious. I am nowhere near qualified to speak on bipolar disorder, and it is a very, very tough situation to go through. But I think it feels like she's overlooking it and focusing more on him wanting to be a wrestler. There is also a chance that maybe that's why she feels like this dream is clashing with his personality or the personality she knows him to have. It does feel like that is the bigger issue and she's overlooking it and focusing on his dream of being a wrestler. It's a tough situation. I will say it's a very, very tough situation. But it does feel like she cares for this guy and she loves him. So there is a compromise here, which is that he doesn't shoot for something like WWE or AEW where there's a ton of travel. If he's comfortable working the indie circuit, that means that he could be, depending on where they are staying, he could be home a lot more. I do understand that maybe she does feel like there's far too much of a danger aspect to it as well, and that could take away from her having a stable, normal family that she wants. I'm not going to say break up with him or don't break up with him because that's not for me to say. I just do think that there's some overarching things that she's overlooking. So, comments. I think there's a bigger issue here, and it's not his career goal, but it's the mental illness. A friend of mine has struggled with a spouse that has similar grandiose ideas, and it will seriously and negatively impact your family. If you really wanted to get into wrestling, and would be happy doing the super underground backyard stuff, then I'd say F it, let him do what makes him happy, and sew all his ill costumes. Okay, so we're moving on to this one, and I think this one's going to be pretty clear cut as to who is wrong in the situation. Because you're going to know just from the title. Am I the a hole for watching a WWE pay per view, in brackets, money in the bank, on my phone while at a wedding that was meaningless to me? Okay, I'm going to have a really, really tough time with this OP, and I can see it just from that title. Okay, so let's see how much this impacts the story, but I also saw that this was posted 4 years ago. This goes back almost a month now to May 19th, but my wife and my mom are still furious with me that my wife may divorce me and my mom may take her side over it. I need some honest feedback to help me go forward. I'm a huge WWE fan and I pretty much get all the pay-per-views. Money in the Bank. There was a ton I wanted to see, but also it culminates several stories into a ladder match that I really wanted to see. It was on May 19th, and I made it very clear that I wanted to watch the event. On May 9th, my wife announced that she'd been invited to a co-worker's wedding, and I had to go with her. By a crazy coincidence that we didn't know until we got there, the groom's mom is my mom's good friend. I assumed the wedding would be on Saturday, so I agreed. Well, Saturday the 18th came and went, and it wasn't until the 19th when my wife was pissed I wasn't getting ready that I was like, oh, S word, I can't go because of the pay per view. She got so mad, so I relented and went. It was one of those events where I didn't know a single person besides my wife and my mom, and the groom was sort of a. So after he sort of blew me off when I tried to congratulate him, I was like, F this, and I got out my phone, parked myself in the corner, and bought the pay per view. My wife and now mom kept trying to get me away and be social, and finally I got angry and told them both to leave me the F alone. Things, honest to God, haven't been the same since. She says I look like such an a-hole with my phone in my face in a semi-dark room while everyone else was having fun and dancing. My mom says all her friends noticed and commented that I must be autistic or retarded, so she's massively embarrassed. Really? Really? To me, I had plans, I did my part to attend, and when I didn't know anyone, I made the best of a bad situation to do what I wanted to anyways. My, was I the a-hole? Okay, we have an edit. To address some common repeats. No, I don't do the network. My wife would come unglued if I had 24/7 access to something she hates so much. I still do pay per view even though it's more expensive. 2. Invitation was only 10 days in advance because the bride claimed she just forgot to send our invitation and only realized the last minute when we didn't RSVP. That's the bride and my wife's story. Believe it if you do or don't. This guy. Okay. Yes, it was a crazy coincidence that my mom was at the wedding, but since we got a late invite and I don't speak with my mom all that often, I would have no way of knowing in advance. The bride is my wife's coworker. The groom's mom is my mom's friend from some charity work they do together. I've never met any of them. Anything else I need to clear up without having to answer over and over. This guy. Okay. So thankfully, it looks like OP hasn't replied to anything because that'll make him even worse of an a-hole. And Reddit have already declared him the a-hole. You're the a-hole, obviously assuming you are 5 years old or older. Sometimes, not being the a-hole means a few hours of delayed gratification. Also, spoiler alert if your wife is thinking about divorce, I suspect it isn't just because of this one incident. This actually genuinely makes me angry. Now, his side is very small, but I can see it, which is that you're a big WWE fan. I get that. Money in the Bank, a lot of us now consider this as a big five part pay per view, which means that yes, it's very, very interesting, and yes, a lot is going to happen. Oh, but really? Really? Oh, okay. Okay, so that is where he stands, which I understand. But, and this is a big but, you're an adult, okay? OP is an adult, which means that you should understand that supporting your wife at a wedding is more important than watching a pay-per-view. Also, you just found out when you got to the wedding that your mom is also there. And you said in both the post and the edits that you don't speak to your mom very often, which means that that's the perfect opportunity to catch up with your mom. Find out what this charity work is that she's doing. Find out how she met this friend. Find out more about, I don't know, find out more about her life. Because you just said you don't speak to her very often. A wedding is the perfect place to catch up with people you don't see very often. Now, from the wife's point of view, you looked like a total what is a word I can use that won't get me in trouble with YouTube right now? You looked like a total jerk in front of your wife's co-workers. Those are her co-workers. Those are people that she needs to make a good impression in front of. You can't go and do your own thing because it impacts your mom and your wife in this situation. I'm so mad at this because, like the comments have said, sometimes not being an a-hole means some delayed gratification because you literally just had to sacrifice a few hours of your time to support your wife and, after you found out, support your mom. That's all you had to do. And personally for me, if I don't know anyone at a wedding, yes, I do sometimes cling to the one or two people that I do know. But also, it's a great place to meet new people. It's a great place to, like, just meet new people, make new friends. You never know. He could have found another wrestling fan there, but he didn't even try because apparently the groom was not friendly to him. But if he was in a bad mood because he couldn't watch the pay per view before he even got there, like, what are the chances of him actually being friendly to the groom when he went to congratulate him? Next to nothing. So, this person is so awful. My word. Okay. And also, like the comments have said, this probably isn't the first time something like this has happened, which is probably why his wife and his mom are mad. So, obviously, he's the a-hole here. Okay, last story, and I think this one's going to be a bit more wholesome. Or at least I hope so. Okay, so this is from R Squared Circle, and it says, Dominik Mysterio got my girlfriend into wrestling. So I wanted to get my girlfriend into watching wrestling with me. Obviously, I decided to show her some women's matches. Payback had just happened, so the awesome Trish versus Becky match was a great choice. And I showed her Rhea versus Raquel because of how good it. Oh, wait, who am I kidding? I showed her to her because of Mommy, of course. My girlfriend is a goth, so it was a shoo-in. She really liked and got into the Trish and Becky match because damn, did they go hard. And she was enjoying Rhea versus Raquel because it had Rhea, Miss Steal Your Girl, Ripley. So everything was going alright. She was liking it, but it hadn't brought her into wrestling yet. Then came out the condom. The condom. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I pointed at him and told her that's Rhea's boyfriend in the story, and she went absolutely mental. What? She shouted. That guy with the effing mullet. Oh, screw him. No, no, absolutely not. Does he win? Me. He's the NXT North American chap. Her. F no. Hell no. Me. He really is good, especially at taking finishes from other wrestlers. Her. Show me. I want to see him get punched. uh, Me. Now. Her. No. Later. Mommy's on the screen. And now I'm obligated to call her every time Dom is about to get the S beaten out of him. Also, she's watching more matches with me. Thank you, Dom, for bringing me closer to my girlfriend with your sleazy looking A. Okay. And then he also says mullets are great heat magnets. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that was That was a lot more wholesome than I thought it was going to be. I did hope it was going to be wholesome, but I didn't know it was going to be that wholesome. So I really, 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 really I knew that Dom was a heat magnet. I didn't know that it was so bad that someone that doesn't watch wrestling at all is all of a sudden really into wrestling because Dom is on TV. That is brilliant. I'm 90% sure that Dom is like the most hated man in the industry at the moment. That was a crazy story. But I'm really glad that Dominik Mysterio is bringing more people into wrestling because I think it's really fun. So those were reading Reddit stories. And if you liked this, please give this video a like. If this is your first time here, please subscribe so that I can keep making awesome wrestling content for you. So, as always, be mindful and be kind. I'll see you next time.